You've seen the Reddit post, right? The 25-year-old with $87,000 invested, projecting $31 million by retirement. It's the dream. Compound interest doing the heavy lifting. But here's the thing that nobody tells you about that calculator. It's built on a fantasy, a 10% annual return every single year, with zero fees, zero taxes, and zero inflation eating your lunch. That's not how the real world works. Look, I need to say this clearly. This is not financial advice. I am a guy on the internet tracking corporate mechanics, not your certified financial planner. Do your own math. I'm Tom, and this is the Money Syntax. I'm here to cut through the Wall Street jargon and give you the real talk on your money, even if it hurts your feelings a little bit. If you're someone who has ever punched in numbers on a compound interest calculator and felt a rush of excitement, only to wonder why your actual bank account doesn't seem to cooperate, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, because today we're going to track your life at every level of compound interest, from the trap they set for you to the tools you can actually use to win. The fantasy versus reality. Here's what most people don't realize about compound interest. The financial industry loves to sell you on the magic of compounding. They show you charts where $1 turns into 1,000 over 30 years. They talk about Albert Einstein calling it the eighth wonder of the world. But they conveniently leave out the part where inflation, fees, and taxes are the three thieves that rob that compound growth blind. Let's break down that Reddit post with real numbers. The user assumed a 10% annual return. That's roughly the historical average of the S&P 500 before inflation. But after inflation, the historical real return is closer to 6 or 7%. So let's run the same numbers at 7% instead of 10. With $87,000 starting balance and $4,819 monthly contributions, that $31 million projection at age 65 drops to about $10 million. Still a lot, but not even close to the fantasy. Now let's add fees. If that user is in a typical mutual fund with a 1% expense ratio, the real return drops to 6%. Now the 30-year projection falls to about $7.5 million. Throw in taxes on that non-retirement account, and you're looking at maybe $5 million? That's still life-changing money, yes. But here's the real punchline. The financial system isn't designed to maximize your compound interest. It's designed to extract it. Banks pay you near zero on savings while charging 20% on credit card debt. Brokerage firms charge management fees. Insurance companies sell annuities with hidden surrender charges. Every single step of the way, the system is taking a cut of your compounding. Most people don't even realize it because the numbers look good on a spreadsheet. That's the deceptive current reality. Compound interest works, but only if you control all the variables. And the system is built so you don't control them. The Franklin experiment. Benjamin Franklin understood compound interest better than most modern investors. In his will, he left £1,000 each to Boston and Philadelphia, roughly $2,000 at the time. The stipulation? Invest the money and allow it to compound for 200 years. By 1991, the Boston fund was worth over $4.5 million. The Philadelphia fund hit over $2 million. That's an annualized return of roughly 3.9%. Not 10%, not even 6%. Here's the critical detail. No fees, no taxes, no withdrawals. The money just sat there, compounding on itself for 2 centuries. Inflation averaged about 1.4% over that period, so the real return was closer to 2.5%. Yet millions were created from $2,000. The lesson isn't about picking the highest return, it's about protecting the compounding process from leakage. In Franklin's time, there were no mutual fund expense ratios, no trading commissions, no annual account fees. The money was just a loan to the city, earning simple interest that was reinvested. Today, the average investor leaks about 2 to 3% of their returns annually to fees, taxes, and inflation. If Franklin's fund had paid 1% in annual fees, the $2 million result would have been cut in half. If it had paid 2%, it would have been just $500,000. The system is designed to extract your compound interest. But what if you could build a modern version of Franklin's experiment? What if you could lock in a guaranteed real return with zero fees and let it compound without interference? That sounds like a fantasy, but the U.S. Treasury actually issues a bond that does exactly this. It's called the Series I Savings Bond, and its entire purpose is to protect your purchasing power while compounding tax-deferred. Franklin would have loved it. How I bonds work. Let's get into the mechanics of the tool that the ultra-wealthy don't need, but you absolutely should understand. The Series I Savings Bond. This is a government-issued bond that pays a composite interest rate made of two parts. The first part is a fixed rate that is set when you buy the bond and never changes for the life of the bond. Up to 30 years as of May 2026, that fixed rate is 0.9%. The second part is a variable inflation rate that adjusts every 6 months based on the Consumer Price Index. As of May 2026, that semi-annual inflation rate is 1.67%. Composite rate is calculated using a formula that adds the fixed rate plus twice the semi-annual inflation rate, plus the product of the fixed rate and the semi-annual inflation rate. That gives us a composite rate of 4.26% for bonds issued from May to October 2026. Now, here's the hidden extraction mechanic that most people miss. The interest on I-bonds is compounded semi-annually. That means every 6 months, all the interest earned in the previous 6 months is added to the principal, and then the new composite rate applies to that higher balance. This is true compounding, interest on interest. But here's the catch that the government doesn't advertise on the front page. If you cash in an I-bond before 5 years, you forfeit the last 3 months of interest. That's a penalty designed to discourage short-term holding. The system doesn't want you to use this as a trading vehicle. It wants you to hold for the long term. And that's actually the secret. The wealthy use tools like this to park cash that needs to keep up with inflation without losing value to fees. There are no expense ratios on I-bonds, no management fees, no transaction costs if you hold to maturity. The interest is exempt from state and local taxes, and you can defer federal taxes until you cash the bond. This is a rare example of a financial product where the interests of the issuer and the holder are actually aligned. The government wants you to save and hold, so it rewards you with a fee-free, inflation-protected, compounding asset. But the psychology of most investors prevents them from using it. Why? Because 4.26% doesn't look as exciting as a stock market projection of 10%. They see the lower number and ignore the fact that the stock market projection is gross of fees, taxes, and inflation. The I-bond return is net of all those things. It's a guaranteed real return. And that's the hidden extraction mechanic in reverse. You're extracting value from the system instead of the system extracting from you. The I-bond arbitrage, how to beat the wealthy don't chase high returns, they chase guaranteed returns with minimal leakage. I-bonds offer exactly that, a risk-free, inflation-protected, tax-deferred compounding machine. The arbitrage opportunity here is simple. Use I-bonds as the foundation of your savings, not as a speculative investment. Here's the math. The current composite rate is 4.26%. Inflation is running around 3%. That means your real return is 1.26%. That doesn't sound impressive until you compare it to a typical savings account at 0.4%, which after inflation is actually losing you 2.6% in purchasing power every year. Over 20 years, a $10,000 savings account would grow to about $10,800 in nominal terms, but its real purchasing power would fall to about $5,600. The same $10,000 in I-bonds would grow to about $23,000 in nominal terms with a real purchasing power of about $12,700. That's more than double the purchasing power. The arbitrage isn't about the interest rate, it's about the compounding without leakage. No fees, no state taxes, deferred federal taxes. Every single dollar of interest stays in your account, earning more interest. The system is designed so that most people never use this tool because it's inconvenient. You have to set up a Treasury Direct account. You can only buy $10,000 a year. You can't trade it. It's boring. But that's exactly why it works. The wealthy understand that the biggest threat to compounding isn't low returns, it's interruptions. Early withdrawals, management fees, emotional trading during market crashes. I-bonds force you to hold. You can't trade them. You take a penalty if you withdraw early. This is the financial equivalent of locking the cookie jar. The strategy that sophisticated investors use is to treat I-bonds as an inflation-adjusted emergency fund. Instead of keeping 6 months of expenses in a savings account earning near zero, they build a ladder of I-bonds that mature every year, providing liquidity without sacrificing return. The arbitrage is the difference between what the system pays the typical saver and what you can earn by simply using the right tool. Building the ladder. Let's walk through the analytical framework for executing the I-bond ladder strategy. This is not a set of instructions, but a structural overview of how the approach works. Core idea is to treat I-bonds as a multi-year savings program. Each year, up to the $10,000 limit, you allocate funds from your savings into a new I-bond. Over 5 years, you build a portfolio of 5 bonds, each purchased in a different year. The critical analytical insight is that after 5 years, the first bond becomes eligible for penalty-free redemption. At that point, you have a choice. Redeem the bond and use the proceeds for consumption or reinvestment, or hold it and let it continue to compound. If you choose to hold, your ladder becomes a self-sustaining portfolio. The bonds keep earning the prevailing composite rate, which adjusts for inflation every 6 months. The analytical benefit here is that you have created a personal inflation-adjusted annuity, funded entirely by your own savings, with no fees and no counterparty risk beyond the U.S. government. Now, let's examine the tax implications analytically. I-bonds allow you to defer federal income tax on the interest until redemption. This means your compounding base is not reduced by annual tax payments. In contrast, a taxable bond fund would force you to pay taxes on interest and capital gains each year, reducing the amount available to compound. Over a 20-year period, the difference between tax-deferred and taxable compounding on a $10,000 investment at 4% is roughly $3,000. That is the value of the tax deferral alone. The strategy also benefits from the fact that education expenses are tax-free if the bonds are used for qualified higher education costs. This adds another layer of tax arbitrage for families. The wealthy use municipal bonds for tax-free income, but those come with credit risk and lower yields. I-bonds are the only federal government bond with a tax deferral feature. This combination of inflation, protection, compounding, and tax deferral is unique. No other savings vehicle offers all three. The latter framework simply maximizes these benefits by ensuring that at any point in time, a portion of your portfolio is approaching maturity, giving you optionality. You are not locked in for 30 years. You have a 5-year rolling maturity that provides both growth and liquidity. This is the analytical structure that allows an individual to replicate the institutional portfolio management techniques used by pension funds and endowments, but with a savings account-sized balance. Your financial awakening. We've covered a lot of ground. The fantasy of 10% returns, the historical lesson from Benjamin Franklin, the hidden extraction mechanics of fees and inflation, and the specific arbitrage available through I-bonds. Now it's time to bring this home. The most important takeaway from today's video is that compound interest is not a passive force. It requires active protection. The system is designed to extract value from your savings at every turn. But by understanding the tools available, you can build a portfolio that minimizes leakage and maximizes real, after-tax, after-inflation returns. The I-bond ladder is one such tool. It's not exciting, but it's effective. And that's the point. The most powerful financial strategies are often the most boring. Now I want you to do something. Drop a comment below and share your biggest takeaway from this video. Have you ever calculated your real rate of return after fees and inflation? What was the result? Share your story with the community. We learn from each other's mistakes and victories, and if you know someone who is still keeping their emergency fund in a bank account earning 0.4%, share this video with them. They need to understand that their money is slowly being confiscated by inflation. The system doesn't want them to know about I-bonds. It wants them to stay in low-yield accounts so banks can profit from the spread. Spread the word. Help them wake up. Finally, I want to leave you with this thought. The goal of financial literacy is not to get rich, it's to gain control. Control over your time, your options, and your future. Every dollar you save from fees is a dollar that compounds for you instead of for some institutional shareholder. Every percent of inflation you beat is a percent of purchasing power you preserve. Every year of tax deferral is a year of growth without leakage. These small advantages compound just like money does. Over decades, they become the difference between a comfortable retirement and a stressed one. The system is rigged, but it's not unbeatable. You just have to know where the loopholes are. And now you do. Go look at your balance sheet with fresh eyes. Your future self will thank you.
Found this interesting? Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like, share it out, and drop your questions or ideas in the comments. Until our next adventure.